Hey boys and girls, Ken Smith Fishing. So Rayburn report this week. I'm gonna break it in two parts, and I'm gonna break it in two parts because it's very separate, very distinct styles of fishing, sort of. So what you're gonna see here is, let's just start with some Saturday footage. Let's just go right to footage. Here we go. How we doing? Ooh, big old long post-spawn fish. So, good morning. It is Saturday, and I got out yesterday afternoon and fished around a little bit and and actually caught these one or two little fish here dragging. I'll show you, I think. Right on the edge of the creek, Bodie boy. Right on the edge of the creek. I was hoping for something a little bit better, but that's a start. One little Indian. Bo, you have no clue where that fish is, do you? Oh, there he is. There he is, Bo. Look out, he almost jumped in your face. Hey, 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 hey. He didn't try to bite you. You don't try to, no. A little better fish. With a bite mark on him, no bite marks. I think. Good gosh, my memory's terrible. But I caught a couple of fish, and then I went back into a drain, actually into a creek, and I'm not going to show you footage because nothing happened, but I flipped in a bush, and I had a big one. I didn't turn the fish. Kind of caught me unprepared. I was coming to the bush, and it was just one of those where you're kind of like, eh, dummy, you know. But I had that bite, and I couldn't get my phone to pull up the weather. So I had called Sarah, and I had called Dickie, and I had called Ricky Guy, and I had called Brian. I was trying to get somebody to answer the phone to tell me if I had weather coming in on me. And nobody would answer the phone. And finally Sarah called me back 10 minutes later, which was right when I lost that fish. And I said, hey, do I have weather coming in? And she pulled up the radar. She goes, leave now. And Bodie and I got very wet making that run back. So the weather ran us off the water yesterday. I got back out here this morning. I've gone almost all the way to the 103 bridge up the Angelina Arm, trying to find some shallow fish. And I did see, the wind's blowing pretty good today, but I did see what looks like the start of a shad spawn, but you know, a lot of shad up, real shallow flicking, and a little bit of fish knocking around, but I didn't get a bite doing that. So I got on some of these main lake points up here, and the water, by the way, is really off color up here. And got some bites, but hadn't caught anything. Came back into a pocket that I've never been in before, just because there's two pockets right here I've always kind of wanted to look into, and why not do it today? I come in here, and that's the first bush I flipped in and caught that fish. So the water's dropping. It makes no sense to me that these fish are in the bushes, but I have seen more times when the textbooks on bass fishing were wrong than when they're right. So I'm gonna flip a little bit more. I mean, I thought with the water dropping, these fish would not be in the bushes, but I'm telling you, between yesterday and today, I haven't made 10 flips in bushes and I've had 2 bites. Now, I'm probably just jinxed myself and I'll fish the next 4 hours with no footage, but we're gonna find out. So here we go. I know he's a little guy, but I saw a spot there where I could actually throw all the way to the bank. And there's a little bit of giant Sylvania up there, and I fired it up there and munch! The ref brought his lunch. Eat it, ref, eat it. Okay, so those couple of bites and that was really it, and it's been a pretty long morning and I needed to get a bite. So I know that post-spawn fish love horizontal stuff, and when you've got a lot of horizontal stuff and you're fishing it, it's hard to pinpoint the fish. But when you only have a little bit of horizontal stuff, in other words, very isolated cover, it's a lot easier to get bit. Now, you're gonna see here, these are all small fish. Well, there's actually, I think, only one keeper in them, but it's a way that I have caught some big fish before. So I went to isolated cover in some pretty clear water, and here's what happened. There we go. Four-pound line, by the way, just for fun today, but it's strong. He is beat up, but it's a nice solid little fish. Boy, he's beat up. Look at that, golly. So what I did was, and this is the old salvage a morning thing, big wind blowing out of the north, so I've gotten over here. Shirley Creek's right here and the deer stand's behind me. And there's all these laying pine trees, or not just pine trees, but mostly pine trees where the high water has caused, bank erosion. And this is just something I always have known works. And you'll catch a lot of little fish, but I caught a 9-pounder doing this a couple of years ago. The water gets real clear over here. This is the same general area Brandon Polinick did, one of the Bassmasters. But what you'll notice is into every one of these pine trees, there's clouds of fry. So these fish, mostly males, but on occasion a female, are under those fry. So all I'm doing is staying back a long ways away from them and throwing that little shaky head up there. I broke a fish off up there a little earlier on a Carolina rig, and I just grabbed my shaky head rather than retying my Carolina rig. And I've caught a fish out of every pine tree and caught 2 out of 1 pine tree. Again, they've all been small, but you'll do this and all of a sudden you'll catch a 3-pounder and a 6-pounder. So I'm gonna keep playing around. I'm fun fishing, and this is fun to do, and I enjoy catching them on a spinning reel. By the way, spinning pole, I'm using 4-pound line. I had rigged this for crappie fishing, but might as well get good at catching them on light line too. So fun stuff. Okay, so I caught those fish, caught a bunch of fish. I'm not going to show you all those fish over there. And then I went on further back down the lake, not too far, but a little bit further down the lake, just kind of on a little main lakey point that had some current blowing over it, had some dirty water and some clear water mixed together, and those fish were feeding right on that dirty water line from that north wind. And I set up on this spot and caught the stew out of them for a little while. Again, all small fish, but this is one of those spots where big ones could be. And you know, I post videos every week, and I don't catch big ones every week. I usually catch quite a few fish, but this is one of those weekends where I just didn't catch a whole bunch of big fish. I caught a couple of nice ones Sunday. So let's check out that footage right here. Middle fish was a largemouth, looked like about 2.5 pound fish on either side of those little Kentuckies. Back to largemouth. Went to the fluke. Well, that's a little fat guy. You catch him at 25 inches long, you got a new record. Dandy. I switched to a fluke because I run out of brush hogs. And bada bing. Change the angle a little bit. It's a shame we don't have those Coosa River spots. I mean, that'd be so much fun to catch that guy at 18, 19 inches long. Such a chunk. Such a little chunk. Changed up the angle a little bit on that spot. They quit biting, so I moved up, throwing across them a different way. First cast got bit. There we go. Uh-oh. That's so crazy. I tied on a fluke and made a bunch of casts with that fluke, and I caught one, and I jumped off a nice fish, and they quit biting it. And I finally just sat down and retied because I needed a different hook. Put on my brush hog and caught one that's got a coal ring hole in the bottom of his head. That didn't take long at all. Like first cast, I think. Okay, so by the way, once again, that Carolina rig rod I'm using, that is a Lew's Super Duty 3. That's a 7-11 rod. I really like that rod. I'm throwing, you hear me talking about that hook, I'm throwing that little bitty owner rigging hook. I just feel like I get so many more bites with that hook. 20-pound Seagar main line, 15-pound Seagar, log truck. 15-pound Seagar leader, 1 ounce sinker, 2 beads, big swivel. I've talked about that before. And then I throw it on a really fast reel. I throw it on a 7-1-1 extra wide speed, extra wide spool reel. And I do that because I want to take up that line if a fish is coming at me or to make my next cast. I don't want to waste any time. So that's my setup. Stick around right behind this video. Sometime in the next 24 to 36 hours, I'll have part 2 of this up. I'm not going to publicize that video much. If you want to see it, you'll see it for my guys that are subscribing. So check it out, please. If you don't subscribe, I appreciate it if you would. And I've got a off topic coming later this week. where we took all that money that guys donated and went to the Zavala Food Pantry, and it was a pretty cool deal. So stick around. Thanks, guys, for subscribing and for watching, and we'll see y'all again this next weekend. Actually, we'll see you again in this next video.